Hello there, this is back into Photoshop again. We're going to be looking at we're going to do a little bit with the type tool, and then we're going to really look at layer styles and how that looks on the layers applied to certain layers in our image. So let's go ahead and get started. We're working on our project here. I'm going to use the type tool. Okay, I've got to draw a box. Now we'll have a video that we'll talk about the type tool and what it can do. But right now I want to focus on these layer styles. So I'm creating a box to put the type in. Okay, Photoshop gives you some sort of dummy text in there to let you see what the font would look like that you have selected, but we're not going to stick with that. Okay, so I'm going to click on this little button in this options panel up here for the type tool right here, and it brings up the character panel. Okay, and I'm going to choose, actually I'm going to go ahead and set my text. I've got a, let's see if I can get this in here. Harbor Life. Okay, now I'm not going to use that font. That is way too frilly for this. It's too narrow. It's hard to read because it's so it's almost dainty. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and choose a font that I like. I can select any font that I want. You get a little sample of what the font would look like here on the side, and I'm just going to pick something kind of thick to show the color, and it's going to be, let's see here, I think I'll go, that's a little too showy, so this isn't bad right there, although I don't think it has a bold version. It doesn't. I need a little thicker, a little bit more boldness. So I'm just gonna go with that right there. It's kind of active looking font. Okay, so I'm going to enlarge that. All right, now you got to be careful about this because the lines of type are going to overlap. Okay, and you're going to have to increase what's called your leading. That's okay. In fact, that's fine. In fact, I'm going to show you a technique here. I like the proportion of this pretty well. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to close up my box a little bit on this. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this box because I don't really need it. And I'm going to close up this. Heck, I can't even see that very well. Okay. So there's my Harbor Life. Okay. Again, we've talked about this before. I'm going to go up here to Edit and say Free Transform. And I'm just going to enlarge that to what I want it to be. A little bit bigger. Okay. Right there. I think that'll maybe even just slightly larger. Okay, like that. Now, I'm having a problem here with this, and that is that the text is still slightly hard to read. The background, there's a lot of light blue. There's several sort of areas that are almost white or very close to white that when they show up behind the text, when they play into the text, creates an area where it's hard to discern where the text is. Okay, so unless I'm looking at this at a certain angle, and I have an LCD display, so it may not be the best, but that Harbor Life is just a little bit hard to read. So I think this layer styles is going to help us bring that out, and that's what I want to show in this video. So with that layer selected, okay, you have to have the layer selected always when you want to do something to that layer. You have to select it to affect it. Okay, I'm going to go to Layer, the Layer menu, and choose Layer Style. I can pick anything on here. Okay, there's quite a few things down through here. At least in the upper half of this sub-menu, I can pick anything. I'm going to choose. I accidentally chose Stroke, but I'm not going to keep that. I'm going to uncheck that, and I'm going to choose Bevel and Emboss. Now, this is a technique that is a little bit subtle. You can make it subtle. But I'm going to use it to put some contrast on the edges, some dark contrast on the edges of these letters. Okay, they're almost going to be rather shiny, and I'm going to go ahead and make this contrast a little higher on these letters so that I can see I can see the letters a little easier. Okay, now I really do need this to be a little darker, I think. So I'm going to choose normal on my options in this. Okay, and I like that okay, I think, but I'm going to see there's several options here, and I guess inner bevel, outer bevel. No, don't want that. I want inner bevel, and I think that we want the depth of it is going to increase the darkness of it. Okay, so I like that. I'm going to make it kind of soft like, and I'm going to keep the size not too big, because I still want the letters themselves, not so much the shading on the letters to be to stand out. Okay, so I think that's a little better. All right, now that's part of what I'm going to do right there. Okay, Harbor Life. And the other thing I'm going to do, now you can choose any of these things. Okay, I'm not going to walk through them all. Bevel and Emboss has its own set of options. When you click on the name of the layer style, you get the set of options over here for it. If you just click on the box and check mark it, it's not going to bring up the options, but it will apply what the defaults are. So I don't really want stroke. I don't want that. It's too harsh for what I want to do. Okay, but I am going to do outer glow, which is this right here. And again, I'm not going to just take the default by clicking the checkbox. I want to actually control the options. So I'm going to click on the words outer glow. That brings it up. I don't want white. I want black for my outer glow. Okay, because my background has so much. My letters are reading fine where the red is and where the dark areas are, like this B right here. But they're not reading fine like right here against that, whatever that piece is, whatever that ladder or whatever that is on that tugboat, and the sky is just too light. It's just a little bit light, okay, and particularly along in here where you've got the edge of a deck on the boat, and then I've got the white letters, and it just merges right in with my F. It's hard to read that a little bit, okay? So I'm going to make an outer glow around this that's black, which is going to help me help provide some more contrast and make it easier to read. I'm going to make my opacity a little bit darker on the black. See that kind of beef up there? And I'm not going to make it real big. I don't want to make it too big. That really just is dominating. I don't need that extra contrast out there of a second edge to the letter. That's not what I want. Okay, so I just want it to kind of feather out, be kind of fuzzy outside. That is looking pretty good right there. Okay, it's soft, but it's providing the right amount of contrast. I think it might even be a little too much. And so I'm going to scale it back just a bit because I really want the tugboat to be sort of a prominent thing. But the name of the channel has to be as well has to be a primary object. Okay, remember I've said that for good design it takes organization and prioritization. And priority is what you want to stick with the title of the channel. The tugboat is the main picture, even though it's considered the background. And that's what you want to stick with. You want to maintain those priorities. Okay. So this looks pretty good. This is layer styles. Now I want to show you this, and then we're done. Okay. Click OK. That wraps that up. Okay. Now over here, this is kind of funny about Photoshop. Under the layer menu, those things are called layer style. Okay. In the layer panel, in the layers panel, these things are called effects. They're right here. They're listed as sort of sub items on that text layer. Okay, they can be turned off by themselves with the eyeball icon on the in the layer sort of sub items under that particular layer. Okay, the eyeball for each particular type of style can be turned off, or the effects as a whole can be turned off. Okay, see that? I like that pretty good. I think that'll do the job. Thanks, and we'll be back with another one later.